The quiet ache. It's late. The kind of late that hums with silence, where even the streetlights seem to blink slower. You lie still in bed, but your mind refuses to follow. There's a glow against your face. Your phone in hand, thumb hovering, hesitating. You're not quite sure what you're looking for. Your body feels charged, restless, alive in the way hunger makes you alert. Skin warm, thoughts circling images and possibilities. Desire, maybe. That's what you tell yourself. Just biology, hormones, the natural tug of being human. Maybe stress, maybe boredom. A harmless scroll through pictures, texts, memories. Just looking. But there's something hollow underneath the hum. A quiet ache that buzzes louder than your nerves. Because even as you feel your body flare with wanting, something in you feels absent, disconnected. It's like part of you is missing, like the wanting comes from somewhere deeper than flesh, a longing that has nothing to do with skin. You try to rationalize it. Everyone does this. It's normal, natural, just a need, a passing wave. But then why does it linger like grief? Why does it feel more like loneliness than lust? Maybe it's not about sex at all. Maybe it never was. What if the craving you feel in these quiet, late hours isn't desire, but something else in disguise? What if lust is just the mask you've been taught to put on your pain, your unresolved wounds, your unmet needs? The silence thickens. You stare at the screen, but it no longer feels like a window. It feels like a mirror. What if what you think is lust isn't what it seems? What lust really is, more than desire. Carl Jung once suggested that lust is not just about physical craving, but a deeper avoidance, an evasion of the soul. In this view, lust isn't simply about wanting someone, it's about fleeing from something within. Jung saw lust not as raw passion, but as a mask for inner unrest, a misdirected search for meaning where the soul is crying out to be heard. Lust, then, is a symptom, not the cause. It can feel urgent, compelling, even overpowering. But beneath the surface, it often signals something else, an unmet emotional or spiritual need. Rather than being a pure expression of desire, it may be a way of numbing discomfort or sidestepping painful truths. It's important to distinguish physical desire from soul hunger. Physical desire is natural. It arises from attraction, intimacy, and biological impulses. It can exist in harmony with emotional connection. Soul hunger, however, is the deep, often unconscious longing for meaning, intimacy, or self-acceptance. When that hunger is ignored or misunderstood, lust may step in as a substitute, a fleeting distraction that mimics connection without fulfilling it. Often, lust arises not from genuine longing, but from a desire to escape. Boredom, loneliness, shame, or emotional emptiness. It can become a way to feel alive, powerful, or wanted when we are otherwise disconnected from ourselves. But rather than soothing the discomfort, lust usually amplifies it, leaving us feeling even more isolated after the thrill fades. In moments of intense lust, there's often a paradoxical internal conflict, pleasure mixed with emotional distance. The body is engaged, but the heart remains untouched. This tension can feel exhilarating and painful at once, highlighting the very disconnection we're trying to avoid. Ultimately, lust is a false attempt at connection. It promises intimacy, but delivers separation. It may provide temporary relief or stimulation, but it doesn't nourish the soul. To move beyond lust, we must be willing to sit with what lies underneath, to face our hunger not with avoidance, but with honesty, compassion, and a willingness to reconnect with our deeper selves. The shadow within, the wound you never healed. Carl Jung defined the shadow as the unconscious part of the psyche that holds the aspects of ourselves we reject, deny, or repress. These are often traits that clash with our ego ideal, the version of ourselves we believe is acceptable, moral, or lovable. The shadow is not inherently evil. It contains both dark impulses and repressed potential. What makes it dangerous is its unconscious nature. When unacknowledged, it acts through us without our awareness, distorting our desires, sabotaging relationships, and fueling compulsions. Trauma, neglect, and societal conditioning are powerful forces that push parts of our authentic self into the shadow. As children, we absorb the message, overt or subtle, that certain feelings are too much, certain dreams unrealistic, or certain traits unmanly or unladylike. In response, we fragment ourselves, casting these disapproved parts into the darkness. The sensitive boy buries his tenderness. The curious girl hides her anger. The neglected child suppresses the belief that they deserve to be seen. Among the most exiled parts are the inner child, our innocent, feeling, instinctual self. And, for men in particular, the inner feminine, what Jung called the anima, the intuitive, emotional, relational aspect that society often teaches men to reject. In abandoning these inner figures, we not only lose connection to vital dimensions of our psyche, but also become strangers to our own depths. The shadow does not remain silent. It often speaks in disguises, in lust, compulsive cravings, or chronic restlessness. These voices are not merely desires to be indulged or repressed. They are signals. A man who chases conquest may be yearning for emotional intimacy. A woman who restlessly seeks approval may be haunted by a child, self never affirmed. These impulses are misdirected longings, the shadow trying to be heard. When we silence the shadow, we pay a steep psychic cost, a life of performance, disconnection, and quiet despair. We wear masks to appear acceptable, but inside we feel fractured. We may succeed outwardly while suffering inwardly, estranged from who we truly are. Ironically, lust, often seen as a vice, can be a flashlight, illuminating the places within us that are wounded and wanting. If we trace it back, without judgment, we may discover not sin, but sorrow, not perversion, but pain. And in that pain, the key to healing the wound we never dared to touch. The story of the man who chased. Lust on the surface, he had it all. Women leaned in when he spoke, drawn by his easy smile and quiet dominance. In clubs, in cafes, in meetings, he owned the room. He wore desire like a tailored suit, confidence like cologne. Success followed him. A well-paying job, a body sculpted in the gym, a social feed full of curated moments, sunsets, cocktails, glistening skin. But alone, in the quiet between messages, the air grew heavy. He chased women not for love, not even for lust, but for something he couldn't name. After each encounter, another hotel room, another perfect stranger, he felt the familiar ache, the high, the rush, the silence. The warmth of bodies never made up for the cold that came after. What he really longed for wasn't sex. It was to be seen. He realized it one night, lying beside a woman whose name he couldn't remember. She reached for him, and he recoiled, not from her touch, but from the truth flooding in. It wasn't her he was chasing. It never had been. He was chasing something he lost long ago. A sense of home, belonging, the feeling that he mattered, not because of what he could offer, but because of who he was beneath the show. Every conquest had been a mirror, and each reflection came back hollow. The climax was never enough. After the high came the collapse, silence, guilt, shame, a loop he couldn't escape. He remembered being a boy once, soft, curious, open-hearted, before the world told him that love must be earned, that vulnerability was weakness, that to be a man was to conquer. So he became what they praised, hard, distant, desired. But inside, he was still that boy, waiting to be held, to be told he was enough. His lust wasn't for her, it was for himself, for the broken, buried parts he'd long abandoned. This is the story many men live but few admit. A silent struggle masked by swagger. A hunger for connection lost in the noise of chasing what never satisfies. Until one day, if they're lucky, the mirror cracks, and they stop running. Not toward another body, but back to their own heart. Why lust is not the enemy? It's a signal. Lust often gets labeled as something bad, a temptation to resist or a sin to suppress. But lust itself isn't the enemy. It's a signal. Like a flare from the unconscious, it lights up something deeper within us. A longing for connection, vitality, or even healing. Lust is energy. It moves through the body and psyche with intensity because it has something to say. At its core, it's not just about sex. It's about desire. And desire is a deeply human force that points toward life, creativity, and intimacy. When we feel lust, it's often our inner world trying to communicate a deeper need or wound that wants attention. The real danger lies not in lust itself, but in the shame and repression that often surround it. When we're taught to see lust as dirty or dangerous, we push it into the shadows of our psyche. But what we repress doesn't go away. It grows stronger, more chaotic, and often leaks out in unhealthy or destructive ways. This is how cycles of craving, addiction, and self-sabotage are born. We try to kill the messenger instead of decoding the message. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we disown or reject. When lust is buried in the shadow, it doesn't disappear. It festers. The more we ignore it, the more power it holds over us. Repression doesn't purify us. It fractures us. But there's another path. Integration. Instead of condemning lust, we can listen to it. What is it pointing toward? A need for love, intimacy, power, expression? When we approach lust with curiosity instead of judgment, it becomes an invitation, not to sin, but to self-awareness and healing. Lust, then, is not a moral failure. It's a map. It doesn't demand shame. It calls for attention. When honored and explored with wisdom, it can lead us closer not just to others, but to our truest selves. Breaking the cycle. How to listen to your soul. In a world that constantly urges us to push forward, perform, and distract, it takes deep courage to pause and feel. When uncomfortable emotions or intense desires like lust arise, the reflex is often to numb through screens, substances, or fleeting gratification, or to run entirely, convincing ourselves there's no time to deal with it. But true healing begins when we stop escaping and start listening. Instead of judging yourself for feeling lust or pain or longing, try asking, what part of me is trying to speak right now? Is it a lonely inner child seeking affection? A forgotten need for connection or softness? Lust isn't just about physical craving. It's often a symbol, a messenger pointing toward an unmet emotional or spiritual need. When we resist the urge to act impulsively and instead turn inward with curiosity, we begin to reconnect with the soul. Facing these inner voices takes bravery. The shadow, the parts of ourselves we've disowned or buried, can feel frightening. So can meeting the inner child or feminine aspects within us that long for tenderness and expression. But these are not weaknesses. They are doorways to wholeness. Reclaiming vulnerability is not regression. It's a profound act of integration. Listening to the soul means welcoming all parts of you, the joyful and the wounded, the strong and the soft, without judgment. This is not a one-time act, but a daily practice of integration. It's choosing to stay with your feelings instead of outsourcing your worth to performance, pleasure, or perfection. Practical steps to begin this journey. Mindfulness. When a powerful feeling arises, pause. Notice where it lives in your body. Breathe into it without trying to change it. There is a crucial difference between fleeting lust and lasting intimacy. Lust often arises from a place of emptiness or need, a momentary filling of a void. It is driven by surface-level attraction and the impulse for immediate gratification. Intimacy, on the other hand, is born from wholeness, a place where two people bring their full selves, wounds and all, into a safe and sacred space. It is the slow unfolding of trust, acceptance, and deep understanding that allows authentic desire to flow naturally and freely. True desire does not emerge from lack, but from abundance. When we feel complete within ourselves, we can connect with others without losing ourselves or trying to fill a void. This wholeness allows desire to be a creative force, a celebration of mutual presence and shared vulnerability. It transforms relationships into places of healing and growth rather than dependency and pain. Journaling. Ask yourself reflective questions like, what am I truly needing right now? Or, what is this feeling teaching me? Inner child work. Visualize and dialogue with the younger version of yourself. What does he, she need to feel safe and seen? Therapy. A compassionate therapist can help guide you into these deeper emotional layers with safety and clarity. Listening to your soul isn't passive. It's an active, revolutionary choice to feel rather than flee, to love rather than judge, and to integrate rather than fragment. The cycle ends where awareness begins. The true longing, connection, and wholeness. At the core of the soul's deepest yearning is a simple, profound craving to be truly seen, known, and connected. Beyond the surface, desires and temporary pleasures, what the soul truly wants is an authentic connection that affirms our whole being. This longing is not just for physical closeness, but for a meeting of hearts and minds, an intimacy that embraces vulnerability and truth. The hope and promise of healing this fundamental wound, the wound of feeling unseen and disconnected, is a powerful catalyst for transformation. When we nurture our wholeness and cultivate genuine connection, we move closer to the true essence of intimacy. In doing so, we open the door to profound healing, love, and a renewed sense of belonging that satisfies the soul's deepest longing. You are not broken. It's important to remember, you are not wrong, weak, or broken. If you've felt disconnected from yourself, from others, or from the world around you, that's okay. Disconnection is a human experience, not a flaw. It doesn't mean you failed or that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. Lust, often misunderstood and stigmatized, is not a sign of weakness or moral failing. Instead, it can be seen as a powerful signal, a call to self-awareness and healing. It's an invitation to pause, reflect, and listen closely to what your body, heart, and mind are truly trying to tell you. This moment of feeling lost or distant is actually a doorway, a chance to begin a journey back home to yourself. It's a gentle nudge toward compassion, toward understanding your desires without judgment, and toward nurturing your whole being with kindness. So, if you're struggling, Know that healing is possible. You have the strength to move through this. There's hope in every step you take to reclaim your sense of wholeness and peace. Be patient with yourself. Trust in your resilience. And remember, you are deserving of love, especially from yourself. This is not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with gentle growth and rediscovery. You are not broken. You are simply becoming whole.